Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. We are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. So did you guys know that companies with women leaders are 25% more likely to outperform their competitors? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the authors of one of our newest books. This one is called We Lead, and it is the second in a series. Check out this book cover, you guys. Building connection, community, and collaboration for women in business, volume 2. Before I introduce the authors to you today, I want to say a huge thank you to our lead author, AliceAnne Loftus. AliceAnne, we would not be here without you. You have been an incredible leader, community leader for these books. Thank you so much for your big mission and vision and for pulling together such an incredible, stellar author cast for this second book in your series. So today we're going to talk to Michelle Briggs. She is a psychiatric mental health nurse, practitioner, and cannabis nurse with additional training in psychedelic psychiatry. We have Sam Straub with us. Sam Straub. There we go. I got it right the second time. She is a licensed clinical counselor as well as the owner of Teen Savvy Coaching, where she helps parents of teens and tweens navigate raising adolescents with calm and confidence. Dr. Sarah Poldmay is here. She's an expert in women's health who helps her patients to feel better than ever through Chinese medicine, functional and mind-body medicine. And Jennifer Osterhaus is with us. She's a graphic designer expert with over 25 years of experience specializing in the design of custom branded, response boosting, eye-catching marketing assets to elevate businesses and make them shine. Y'all think I need an award for reading bios? I think so. Yeah. All the alliteration you guys put in your bios. I love it. All right, Jennifer, you're going to start the party off. Tell us the why behind this chapter for you.
Sure thing. So, hi, I'm Jennifer Osterhaus. I am a graphic designer. My chapter is chapter 9, Awe-Inspiring Marketing Assets, Strategic Planning for Next Level Business Growth. So my why behind the chapter. So my chapter starts out with a story about being asked to do a workshop on auditing marketing materials. And public speaking is not my thing. And I've gotten better at it over time with presentations that I've had to do. And so I was really nervous about doing this workshop. And after talking with some of my business besties about it, and they were telling me that, I'm actually educating people with the knowledge and experience I have. And that totally shifted my mindset on it. So my why behind my chapter was, just one little thing that somebody tells you can completely shift your mindset and your confidence in basically what you're bringing to the world, right? Like we all have gifts that we've been given to share with people. Graphic design is my absolute passion. It has been my lifelong career. It will be until the day that I retire. I absolutely love helping businesses with their marketing materials, with their branding, with making sure that they're cohesive and they're consistent. I really do want to make your business shine. I want to help you to show up as your absolute best self in your business. So I think because I have such a strong passion for that is why I created the tool that I have and have shared that in my chapter.
Well, shout out to you also for helping us with the beautiful design of this book series. This is the volume 1 book here that I have in my hands. And I know that one of your gifts is working with somebody to bring something to life. And you did that for AliceAnne for the cover of the book. And, we all thank you for that, because not everybody has that strength. Do you remember when you knew you had it? Like you could take the vision and, yeah, tell us.
Yeah, well, and I will say it's funny because I often joke with people that if you put me in an empty room with furniture, I won't know what to do with it. But if you give me words and pictures, I can already see it in my head designed on whatever format it needs to be in. So I think for me, I mean, actually in volume 1, I write about how I got into graphic design, and it was really just through a class that I had in college. And I just found this passion for what we were doing in this class, and not knowing it was graphic design until my professor like pointed it out to me. And then I just knew it almost felt just like natural. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like it was just something that just there was an ease about it for me, and it was so creative, and I just really thrived on that. So, and I still do. I mean, I truly am so passionate about what I do.
We are glad that you are. I think if you listen to Jennifer talk about figuring that out, she's telling people the secret of alignment. It's easy, it flows, it feels natural. I'm lit up when I do it. I love it. Y'all are going to be dropping like mega golden nuggets today. And I just wanted to pause on that big one. Jennifer, thank you. Thanks for saying yes again and for being part of this in such a big way with the design.
And thank you for having me. I always say I'm not a writer, I'm a designer, but writing a chapter last year and in the book this year, it's been such a wonderful experience. And I've seen how I've grown, in my writing. It's just really cool. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I love that too. And that's, I think that's my gift. Like people will say, well, I don't know how to write it. I'm like, yeah, writing will come more naturally for me. And then, we teach each other. So it's been really, really cool. All right, Michelle, tell us about a little bit about the why behind your chapter.
Okay, well, good morning. And my chapter is on, I don't know what number it is, Laura. Anyways,
Neither do I right this moment.
it's okay.
It's all right.
Thriving through adversity, the power of resilience in business life. So the why behind my chapter, when we decided to do the chapter and do the book, I was on a roller coaster ride, personally and professionally. So what a better topic. How am I thriving through my business life right now, given these challenges? So I had a personal challenge. I had a husband that was in hospice care for 9 months, and he passed away in March. And then I also had a contract, someone that I had contracted with for marketing and advertising, switch up on me and took a lot of my business to someone else. And so I had to figure out what I was going to do here, because my business was needed to thrive. And so that was what was behind my chapter, and figuring out strategies that I was using and how to share those with others. Obviously, we all go through a lot of challenges in our life, and we're pretty powerful people. Entrepreneurs are, and we don't give up easy. And so my chapter was inspired by how do we not give up so easy, and what do we do to support ourselves and our businesses when we're going through tough times.
I appreciate the topic very much. And you've been in my world over these last couple of years. And I especially appreciate that. I call it an indomitable spirit, like no matter what you've been through. And I just offer you so much love about your loss and the things that have been going on in your world. But it takes something to step through it and make the decision to do the thing that you want to do anyway when all of those things are happening around you. um you know you say about entrepreneurs that we are all like that, but I don't think we're all like that. What helped you be like that? Like, what's the one thing you want people to know? What did you do when it was just you in the house going through your mind with all the stuff?
Well, for me, I break it down into some mindfulness and just knowing that I have 1 hour at a time to get through, and that I will get through it, that this will pass, that this isn't permanent, that things will happen. I also will take a self-inventory, get aware of what do I need to do? What are the steps just for today? And that self-awareness, and then of course reaching out. A lot of us are very independent people, and so for me to just be authentic and share, this is what's going on, and being open-minded and willing to receive feedback from those that have gone through these things before in their life, then they share their experience, strength, and hope. And so I made that list when I'm alone. Who are those people today? And obviously the leading ladies were a big part of that. And I've reached out, and it's been a beautiful process to accept things that I just can't change, but figure out what can I change.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for saying yes again and for being back with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Sam, you're up. Tell us a little bit about the why of your chapter.
Okay. My chapter is chapter 5. It's called Nurturing Kids and Career, the Motherhood Advantage in Business Leadership. And as Laura said, as you said earlier, Laura, my background is I'm a parenting coach. I come to that role through 2 avenues. One is as a school counselor, where I was a school counselor for 18 years, and prior to that, a classroom teacher and a dean of students. And I'm also a licensed therapist. In both of those roles, I do a lot of work with parents, and I know how tumultuous raising kids can be, not just in our personal lives, but that can bleed, of course, into our professional lives. But on a personal level, I was the school counselor where my kids went to school, which is one thing in and of itself, but my chapter is about being the sex ed teacher at my kids' school. And Sarah's laughing because her daughter was one of my students and was in the grade with my son. So like, if you want to talk about wearing way too many hats at once, that is like the perfect storm. So I've lived it. And what I know is like the ability to lead yourself, to stay grounded in the face of like all of the winds that happen that come with raising kids or running a business. And frankly, I think they're the same skills. And that's what my chapter is about like the tools that you need to lead yourself effectively through parenting, and your children are the same tools you need to lead a team in the workforce. And honing them at work, like polishing them in either place, positively affects the other location.
I loved reading those pieces in your chapter. Made me chuckle a couple of times. I was trying to put myself in your shoes, especially at the ages your kids were when, yeah. I don't know how you did that. I think it's pretty brave of you to, to be able to do it and then go home and have the aftermath. I'm assuming they all still love and speak to you today.
They do. They do.
Okay.
They do. My kids are in college now, and like they can look back with humor, and they know, and that's the thing, kids grow up, right? And they know that they were at a stage in their life that made them feel totally awkward. On a good day, throw in mom as the sex ed teacher and has all of my friends as her students, and that like increases the awkward level by 1,000%, pretty much.
Well, one thing about parenting that has come across my plate so many times was not squashing their emotions.
Mhm.
And let's just take like anger, or some parents will say, don't talk back to me.
Yeah.
I actually didn't want to squash that. And that is an interesting dance to dance with your kids. Is anything you want to tell us about that?
Well, I think one of the things that, and I think this goes for anybody that you are a mirror for, and we are mirrors for our kids, and we are mirrors for people that we lead at work. We are, when we serve as a reflection for them, this, what I'm about to say applies. We want to make space for our children and those who we reflect to be themselves. And notice I'm not saying but, and we also want to hold boundaries that are values based. And one of those might be respect for me, you know? So we want to make sure that we are okay with the messy discomfort and the messy, uncomfortable emotions that kids show. Teenagers are known for messy, uncomfortable emotions, and that we are not blown over by them, that we stand our ground. Like, we may sway in the winds of these messy emotions, but we stay rooted and we're not tipped over, because if we tip over by our children's messy emotions, we teach them that those messy emotions are too scary for me to handle. And if they're too scary for me to handle, because I'm the one with wisdom in this world, then they're probably too scary for you to handle. So you should box them up or pretend they don't happen, or you know, take them someplace else. So we want to make space for the mess. And when the mess becomes disrespectful, we want to call our kids on that too. And there's an art to that, which is one of the things that I teach my clients.
Yeah, super powerful. Thank you for walking through that balance of both of those things. You're right. It's not particularly easy, but it's extremely powerful if you can be that parent and practice that. And we get to make mistakes, y'all. Like, you know, that's part of it too. Sam, thank you. Thanks for saying yes to this and for being here today.
My honor. Thank you.
Sarah, tell us about the why behind your chapter.
Sure. So my chapter is chapter 25, on the brink of burnout, how to reclaim your purpose and thrive again. And I think my why going into it was to let women in business know that they're not alone in their challenges. And I think as women, we are community centered, and sometimes the isolation of small business can be really challenging. So I wanted to share my story with women about the burnout that I experienced during COVID with all of the challenges of business. My business felt like it was falling apart. I didn't have the wherewithal to kind of fight to save it. So I went through a really low period and was able to bring myself back out of it through the mind-body practices that I preach to my patients, and really fall back into these wellness practices that I had maybe kind of drifted away from, thinking I didn't need them. And I think as I drifted away, that helped to cause the burnout. And by seeping back into them, I was able to restore my energy.
Oh, I so resonate with this story. And I hope you're all listening about that. You know, get back to your practices.
Yeah.
Get back to nurturing yourself again if you're finding that you've landed in the middle of that burnout. What was you know, when you had the realization of it, what was like the first practice that's your go-to? What do you do?
I think the first practice for me is slowing down my breath or meditating, because that's an easy step in the right direction. So I found that I was feeling reactive because the world was throwing things at me. All of a sudden, we had to close the business. And then when we reopened, there was about a gazillion things that we had to do to keep our patients safe, you know, all different types of supplies that we had never used before, masking, having, you know, walls up at the counter, those clear glass dividers up at the counter. It was just like one thing after the other. And then difficulties with employees being stressed and scared for their survival. And are we still getting paid? What's going on? And all of that was a lot. So, you know, in the moment, we're so used to the immediate gratification of a yes and no, or an answer because of texting and social media and all that stuff. But I learned that it was okay to take a pause and take a deep breath before responding, and really falling back into the practice of being less reactive in the moment and calming my nervous system so that I could make intentional decisions, intentional choices rather than off the cuff. And there were days when I wasn't super successful with that. And I had to give myself grace and say, none of us are being super successful in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, none of us and all of us are being super successful, if that makes sense. We have to just give ourselves grace and again, fall back on things that are soothing to the central nervous system so that we can make more mindful, intentional, loving choices every day.
Yeah, slow down your breath, take a pause, respond instead of react.
Yeah.
Power sounds simple and small, but these are powerful first steps.
Yeah.
Those glass barrier companies did well in the last 5 years, I'm sure. My gosh. And those are still up everywhere. Yeah, people kept those going. Sarah, thank you. Thanks for saying yes to this. And also congratulations for reopening and getting that going. And to all of you who may have done that, right? Had to pivot, made it happen, didn't give up, like Michelle was saying earlier. Yes, you guys, you are all leaders because of that, right? And this book has that theme of what it even means to step into leadership. But I think that's one of the things. It's all right, we're not giving up. What are we going to do here? Michelle, I'm going to start with you for this next question. I think part of leadership is self-mastery, and you've all been talking, kind of hinting into these pieces, but what's something that you worked on in yourself, in your journey, that helped you become a leader? What's something you had to master in yourself?
I would say that every day it's a practice to stay brave and courageous and to be your true self, to be honest with who you are and not live in the fear of judgment or what ifs, and practicing courage and bravery has definitely been something that I attempt to master on a daily basis.
What have you had to be courageous about? What comes to your mind? What's one way you had to do that?
So I would say that the way of courage is to take care of my mental, my physical, and my spiritual self. That I come first without, it started years ago when I birthed twins, and it was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? It was again that one day at a time. And, if I'm not happy, if I'm not healthy, then, I'm not going to contribute much to my family and extend that further. So
I
I would
love that
say
you
that that's it.
started with this, because it does take courage to put yourself first. We talk about this self-care thing all the time. This is like a hot topic, but to actually do it, prioritize your own mind, body, soul, spirit, healing and health before you try to give, right? It takes a lot of things. Courage is definitely one of them. So thank you for kicking that question off like that. Sam, how about you? What is something you've had to master in yourself on this journey? What's that thing that comes to your mind?
Well, I wanted to say I shy away from any question that asks me what I've mastered.
Well, let
because
me actually thank you.
I'll tell you what I work on with regularity. One of the things I say is what's the point of this life if we're not still learning and growing? So
Yes, and pause, because you guys, the mark of a master is a beginner's mind. And so I just want to throw that in there, Sam, because I fully believe we never master anything until, when we die, we've probably gotten good at a few things. I don't know, but yes, continue.
So I would say I have two answers. And one is, when I'm worried about making progress, when I know I need to take a step in my business, but I have some nerves around it, whether it's because I'm putting myself out there or it's going to be more effort or, you know, whatever my stalling, you know, my roadblock is. Time after time, every time I've done it, fear be damned, good stuff has come back to me every time. It's not the good stuff I expect, but it has always come back to me. So I would say one of the things that I've had to embrace regularly is trusting that what I put out will come back at me. And the second thing, and I'll build on what Michelle said, is I have a regular yoga nidra practice, which for those of you who don't know, it's deep, you know, it's non-sleep deep rest. And I do it often before bed or when I'm dealing with insomnia. And it asks you to, when you're doing a yoga nidra practice, you create something called a sankalpa, which is like your intention for yourself in terms of the person you want to become. And you say it in the present tense, and your subconscious kind of like latches on. And my sankalpa, which I'm letting everybody know now, is blop. I am brave, loving, open, and present. And that's what I say every time I do a sankalpa. And so, you know, it builds on some of what Michelle said, but and she incorporated this too, but part of bravery, I think, is being, for me, loving, open, and present.
Oh, I love that. Blop. It's a fun word to say too. And you know, you guys have probably heard of the Miracle Morning, right? There's a book and it's the idea of like how you start your day, but man, do I love the idea of yoga nidra as a miracle evening, just to come into that connected place again before you drift off and go to sleep. How beautiful is that?
Yeah, I have a busy mind. I think we all do. And maybe you could just hear from the pace at which I speak. You know, there's a lot happening behind the scenes all the time here. So when I go to sleep, like I need to turn it off somehow. And that's one of the things. So yeah, yoga nidra helps me do that.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. All right, Sarah, how about you? What's some, gosh, you know, you gals are talking about some powerful practices here. So thank you. I know everyone that goes next is like, yeah, that and that and that. And then what else, right? What else have you had to master in yourself?
I think one of the things that I won't say that I've mastered it, but I've certainly evolved with it is not having the guilt or the worry take over when I step away from my business. So I'll have moments where I'm like, "Ooh, I should be at work," and I am quickly able to dismiss those kind of negative self talks that used to occupy my mind a bit when I was on vacation or at a continuing education class. So, in other words, giving myself permission and encouragement to do the things that I need for myself, for keeping me present, rather than saying, oh, I'll take a vacation or I'll go to a yoga retreat and then spend time there back home, you know, in my thoughts. So I think I would say with Sam, I completely resonate with that and with the beginner's mind that, you know, I don't think I'll ever master it in that I don't think the thoughts won't ever pop up here and there, but I don't let the thoughts control me anymore. I'm able to say, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought you just had there, Sarah. Is it real? Is it true? Does it serve you? And I've become quite good at that.
That's another beautiful golden nugget of awareness. Awareness is everything, and in what all of you are talking about. I think sometimes my mastery has come when I just have done it quicker. Like instead of dwelling in those thoughts for hours, it became minutes and then it became seconds. And then, you know, now I do like to use the word mastery because it takes something to get from hours to seconds. It's a practice that you develop. And once you're aware, you can't go back, which is beautiful. But it's also like, ooh, I got to take responsibility for this awareness that I have. All right, Jennifer, how about you? What's one thing that you've tried to self-master?
Yeah, this is all so good. I feel like I'm in a therapy session. I love I'm getting lots of little tidbits here. So for me, it has been stepping out of my comfort zone, which touches a little bit on what Sam was saying. Since I started my business in 2000 until 2021, I got work through reference. I did very little to market myself. And then COVID happened, which really shifted the clients that I designed for. And that was 2021 is when I joined the Leading Lady group. And all of a sudden I'm in this place of like having to do all these things that I've never had to do. I mean, I joke a lot of times saying I basically lived outside of my comfort zone for like 2 years. But I cannot say how good that was for me, how much I've grown as a person, as a business owner, like just getting just a whole different, I feel like, view and perspective on, quite honestly, on life. So I think for me, I mean, I'm continuing to work on that, but stepping outside of my comfort zone definitely was huge for me.
This is so huge. And of course, I love this one. Welcome to Brave Healer Productions, right? Like, feeling purpose-driven fear, that's what I call it. Feeling that in your body doesn't feel good a lot of the time. And so sort of like living in that discomfort zone isn't the greatest place, but it is the greatest place, because when you move through it over to the other side of that thing you were born for, the thing you were meant to do, the thing that is your passion, and then you look back at that fear and you're like, I did it. So I love that one so much. I have such gratitude for all 4 of you, for the entire author cast, but thank you all for taking the challenge I gave you of putting that vulnerable story in this book. And then you're stepping up with your master teachings in the practice section, your master teachings. Y'all have been around a minute. You have some wisdom and experiences, and you're speaking from those places. And this book is a gift to people because of that. Just wait, you guys, our readers, our listeners today, wait until you get your hands on this beautiful book and realize what's inside. Okay, Sam, I'm coming to you for this one. What's the most important thing you want to share about collaboration? What has that meant for you?
Ooh. I can think of how to answer that. Like, my head went right to my work. This book was a big collaboration, of course, with a different amazing author chiming in every chapter. But when I think collaboration, of course, I go right to raising kids and parenting. Like, that's my thing, and teaching and educating, raising healthy humans. So I would say the most important thing about collaboration is making sure that whatever your tendency is, most of us have a bias, whether we take up too much space or we allow others to take up too much space, right? Collaboration is ideally an equality thing where you join in the middle. But most of us have a tendency to not meet in the middle, to like overdo things. That's my tendency, quelle surprise, or to like allow others to step over our boundaries. And so I would say collaboration is an essential part of it is knowing which bias is yours, and then either being brave enough to set a boundary or having enough humility to back away from one and allow someone else this space.
Ooh, that's a powerful definition of that. I love that, especially the boundaries piece. Thank you. Okay, I can't wait to see what everyone else says about this. Sarah, you're up next on this one. What's that most important thing you want people to know about collaboration?
I think the words Brene Brown said of clarity is kindness can be really valuable here, because I think that when expectations and clarity are clear, it's clear from the beginning what the collaboration means on both sides, there's much more chance for success for both parties, or for all parties, depending how many people are collaborating, than if we didn't show those clear expectations of what things are going to look like. So clarity as kindness allows people to understand what's expected of others, what's expected of themselves, and we're more likely to bring the best to the table, rather than, I know in collaborations, people are often let down with, first, let's say, the marketing piece. If you're both trying to bring each other's audiences to the table, it can be challenging if one part of the collaboration doesn't bring their audience to the table. And there may be reasons why, because I've had collaborations fall apart and I've spoke authentically to the person to say, hey, I thought this, this, and this. And they said, my dad just died, and in that case, maybe I'll work with that person again. But if they just let me take the reins for no good reason and weren't accessible to understand why, then the relationship itself can fall apart. So again, clarity, understanding why someone may have fell short of expectations, communication, all of that is so important.
So important. Clear is kind. It's one of my favorite quotes ever of all time. Yeah. And it takes courage to be clear. It takes courage to just say it and be straightforward about those things. And it's so important. Oh my gosh, these two are big so far. Jennifer, what's yours? What do you want to add?
So when I hear collaboration, I hear teamwork. So for me, I know for me, like as I relate it to my business, when a client reaches out to me and says, hey, I've got this writer signed up to do this and I need you to do the design, the client might not connect me with the writer. So like I'm designing for the client and not the writer, where I want to be connected with that writer because they're the ones that wrote it. They have in their mind what they're thinking that maybe it's going to look like. I'm the designer who needs to make their words come to life. And so for me, I feel like if you've got teamwork, and this is just in my graphic design world, of course, but you're going to come out with a stronger product. Like you're going to come out with a stronger, in my case, a stronger marketing piece or graphically designed piece. So I think that working together, you're ultimately going to come up with a stronger solution, a better solution, a more complete, complete, solid, and focused solution.
Yeah, teamwork for sure. I love how you put those two words together. That's awesome. All right, Michelle, it's hard to go last on these. What was that thing you think about when you think about collaboration?
Well, as you know, I work with folks that come to me with issues surrounding their mental health. And so building trust, it's collaborating, getting to know you and you getting to know that you can trust me with everything that's on your mind and what's going on in your life. And so to build that takes some creativity. I need to, be able to express to them that things are safe, safety. We're going to solve the problems together. I'm not going to take an authoritative approach and tell you what to do and expect you to do what I say. That just does not work. And of course, in my field too, folks are coming to me with, they've tried traditional psychiatry, they've tried traditional medications, and now they're opening up their minds to using possibly cannabis, which has a stigma, as well as psychedelics, which has a stigma. So for me to really collaborate, to educate is also part of it. Helps me to build a stronger relationship with my clients, and hopefully that collaboration resonates with them. I know it does for me, as we move forward in their treatment plan.
Oh my gosh, you are bringing up such an important piece of this. Just even the idea of collaborating with your health professionals, you guys, and having somebody who immediately is in that beautiful collaborative spirit, asking you the right questions. Hey, and what do you think about this plan? versus just saying, here's your prescription. This is what you need to do. I'm the boss of you, right? Like, Michelle, this is huge, 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 huge. I hope that all of healthcare goes collaborative when in the way you talk about it. I want to just quickly say collaboration is what turned my business into an empire. So it has meant everything to me in terms of pulling people together, all of your beautiful, unique voices, bringing those groups of authors together to give people more of what they need. And we all know that not every single way, every single voice works for everybody. So you need all of the ways, right? And when we collaborate versus compete, we give people more options for what can change their life, literally. So collaboration has meant everything to me. Okay, last question. It's a one that I love so much. I'm going to give you guys an example. So if you could give the younger self who started your business some advice, what would you tell yourself? This would go something like, Laura, believe in yourself and invest in yourself sooner. Take those risks. And I want you guys to try to get it into a sentence like I did. Okay. It's going to be a summary of that. What would you tell that self that started the business? Sarah, you're up first on this one.
I think that's hard because some of the things I struggled with, I felt naturally came with time. So I think having the self-confidence to hold my boundaries is a big one for me. So telling my younger self that once you've made a decision, be confident in that decision and then not let boundaries get pushed surrounding it because you feel bad for the other person or you wish you could do this or you wish you couldn't do that. In other words, when you analyze a situation and you make a decision, stay firm in it. But that self-confidence, I really feel, comes with time, and that's the beauty of evolving as a business owner. So although I would give that advice, I don't think you can snap your fingers and just be with that.
Yep, I love it. I get it. That's powerful. Thank you. Jennifer, what's your version of this? What would you tell that Jennifer in the beginning?
I think I would tell that Jennifer, you don't have to overthink and overanalyze everything. Yes, approach things smartly. Yes, approach things, don't just go make crazy wild decisions without thinking about anything, but you don't have to analyze every possible scenario of how something is going to play out. I think that is that, and I'm not typically an overthinker per se, but I'm incredibly detail oriented. So that's where all the scenarios come into play for me, when I just need to sort of trust, right? Like, make the decision, move forward, and go with it how it plays out.
Love that one too. Thank you. Michelle, what would you tell the earlier Michelle?
Don't worry about being perfect. Embrace failure. Understand it's a part of the learning process, and each setback can teach you something new about yourself. And share your failures with others too, so that they can feel comfortable and vulnerable, and know that that's just part of life. Living like that. I was so afraid to admit that when I was younger, but not anymore.
Mm-hmm. Big one. Anyone else on that one? I think if you guys are just listening to this interview, you're not seeing all the head nodding going on, then you should see it. Good one, Michelle. Sam, you're going to close us out today with yours. What would be that advice you would give yourself on that stage of your journey?
Okay, so I opened my business 2 years ago. 24 years into my professional career as an educator and a therapist. And neither educator, well, particularly educators, most of my career was as an educator. We are not well paid. We are, we're perhaps undervalued, and a lot of people think that they know how to do teaching because they've been to school. And I think, and I'd never worked in the private sector, right? So I opened a business, and it was a slow trickle to like realize like there's a market for what I have, right? So I think, I don't know if I would tell myself this 2 years ago. I did tell myself this 2 years ago, but I could have told myself earlier. You have expertise, you have wisdom, and there is room for this wisdom to support others. Trust in, I guess I would say, trust in your expertise.
Yes. Oh gosh, I think I still have to tell myself that. It doesn't matter like how long we've been doing this, right? We need all of your all's reminders like on a regular basis throughout our journey. I love these all so much. Authors, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thank you for being here today to share it with everyone. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
So you guys, this is way more than a book. It is a generous community of badasses. So drop down into the show notes. I have them all hooked up with their websites. Go explore, see all the amazing things that they are up to. I can't wait for you to do that. They're there for you to answer a question, continue the conversation that we started today, give you some support, all the things. Okay, so please also hop over to Amazon and grab your book today. We Lead. It's such a long subtitle. I have to grab the book. Building Connection, Community, and Collaboration for Women in Business. Go over to Amazon and grab your copy today, you guys. And you can join us for our book launch party. It's going to be November 22nd, 10 a.m. Eastern. All the We Lead Volume 2 authors will be there to inspire you. So I've got some information down below about the Zoom information. And lastly, today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.